Are you dealing with a narcissist and you have noticed that there's something funky, really odd, really weird going on with their eyes? I've noticed it too. And so I wanted to dig into what's going on with that. And I'm going to share more with what I figured out in this video. Hey, I'm Rebecca Zung. I'm an attorney. I'm also a narcissist negotiation expert. I've written a couple of best-selling books, Negotiate Like You Matter, Breaking Free, a Step-by-Step Divorce Guide. I have a third one that is in pre-sales now, Slay the Bully, How to Negotiate with a Narcissist and Win. And I have helped so many people break free from toxic relationships, and I want to help you as well. That's why I release brand new videos every single day on this channel. And so I encourage you to subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell so that when I release brand new videos, you can get notified and just jump right into the content and start to learn so that you can start to break free as well. All right, what is going on with those narcissist eyes? 1 minute they're normal and the next blank and wicked, right? And sometimes they just seem like they're completely devoid of emotion. And sometimes they're just staring at you. Why? What is going on? Well, I mean, for one thing, they need that narcissistic supply. They need to know that what's going on in their world. They need to be constantly scanning and knowing what's going on, because that is how they're reading the room. They learned from a very, very early age how to read the room, how to read the people around them, because that's how they survive. They are very, very good at reading people. So, one thing is that for sure, covert narcissists are constantly staring at people because they're trying to actually study people to become them. They almost are using those mirror neurons to become those people and become their targets, become you. And they want to study how to love bomb you the best and how to see what it is that they need to become. So one of the things they do is they're constantly looking at you to do that. But another reason that they stare at you and they look at you is because they do it to control you. They do it to let you know that they have you, to make sure that you know that they are constantly tracking you, that you are never out of their purview. And you can kind of feel it. You can always sort of feel that they're watching you. And it's very, very creepy. And they do it in a way that you know that they're right there. They do it in a way that you feel like you're not really a person. It's not a person who's watching, if there's a person who's looking at you with care or with concern or with love, you feel that, you can sense that. This is a person who's looking at you not as a person. It's as a threat. It's more like a death stare. It's more like, I'm going to get what I want. You belong to me. You know it, and I know it. And especially when you are in that discard phase, when you're in that discard phase and you've become public enemy number one, and they want to take you down, they're looking at you to let you know that you're going to pay for discarding them or becoming that threat, becoming the person who's on the other side of them. Because for a narcissist, you're either for them or against them. And if you're against them, then you are the enemy, because now you might know things about them. So they feel exposed. They feel that you could be a threat to them. So they want to make sure that you know that they are watching. And, when narcissists have that part of their brain take over, that limbic system part of their brain take over, rationality is not here. It's here, and they're not thinking clearly, so they're essentially logging out. Reason is logging out, and it's another part of their brain is taking over. And that's why it does seem like it's sort of an empty stare when they're looking at you like that. That's why it does sort of seem like an evil stare that's looking at you that way. And it does sort of seem like they sort of cease to exist, because it's not this part of the brain. It's that other part of the brain that is a completely different part of the brain than the regular part of the brain. It's that limbic system that takes over, that sometimes they don't even remember what it is that they're doing and saying when they're in that rage part of their brain. That narcissistic rage takes over. That narcissistic injury has been triggered, and that narcissistic rage takes over, and they start to do things. And it can be quite scary, especially if you're dealing with a malignant narcissist who will tend to do things like stalking or engage in acts of violence. It can be quite scary. And if you are dealing with a malignant narcissist, then please do what you need to do to protect yourself, and go to a shelter, or make sure that you have a good support system in place. Make sure that you have, you've gotten that stash of cash in place. You have a place to go. You've taken care of maybe getting the right attorneys in place. You have the right therapists in place. You have everything that you need to get in place. Maybe you need to get injunctions in place, that sort of thing. Because if you are dealing with a person who is in that state of mind, they're not being rational. Okay. And so it's almost like they're blacking out sometimes when they're like that. And by the way, if you do need therapy and you don't have access to online therapy, we do have a sponsor on this channel, which is BetterHelp, and you can get access to that at betterhelp.com/Rebecca Zung. We receive commissions on that. You do not pay any extra on that. We just want you to have access to good, reliable sources of help, that has been vetted. And by the way, if you need phrases for disarming narcissists, you can grab those at disarmthenarc.com. disarmthenarc.com for phrases for disarming narcissists. There's another crazy thing, that there is actually a scientific explanation for the evil looking eyes. Anger activates a person's sympathetic nervous system, or SNS, which causes physiological responses such as increased heart rate or blood pressure, rapid breathing, and pupil dilation. It actually causes people's pupils to dilate. And so people's eyes actually do go dark when that happens. And that narcissists will play any cards that they have. And if they can explain their unfavorable behavior in some way, they will. That's the problem here. We never know when this is actually going to be happening. And so this physiological response is happening in response to anger. And when that narcissistic injury is triggered, then that's when that narcissistic rage can happen. And you just never know when that's going to happen with a narcissist, because that narcissistic rage can happen when they're slighted at any time. And you never know when they're going to be slighted, because they can be slighted at the smallest of things, at the smallest of things. I mean, they can be slighted because the waitress at the restaurant didn't bring them their drink on time, or, you know, somebody looked at them funny, or somebody cut them off in traffic or whatever. So, I mean, when this thing happens, when they're logging out, they're blacking out, this behavior can be dangerous. It can be dangerous. So you do want to be aware of when this is happening so that you can start to see the signs. You can start to see when this is going to be potentially, you know, coming on. And remember, there's never, ever, ever an acceptable excuse for abuse. There's never an acceptable excuse for abuse. Whether or not they remember it doesn't matter. They could be lying, by the way, to get you to forgive them since they weren't being themselves, or maybe they'll tell you they had a stressful day at work, or they had an abusive childhood, or they have a lot going on in their lives, or they could be blaming you. It's your fault. You know, you didn't provide enough sympathy or empathy or enough compassion for them, or, you know, you looked at them funny, or you talked too loud at dinner, or whatever their excuses. There's never an acceptable excuse for abuse. Okay. You know, and they can never say things like, they would never hurt you on purpose, they didn't mean to. Any kind of apology like that is also not acceptable. It doesn't matter. That's not acceptable either. All right. It is not okay. And I want you to put that in the comments right now. Not okay. Not okay. Got it? All right. Not okay. Whether they are knowingly hurting you, or they're just becoming so angry that they allow their body to take over and hurt you, and they're saying they don't remember, or whatever it is, you deserve better. You deserve safety. You deserve physical, emotional, sexual safety, if that's what it is, God forbid. But seeing those narcissist eyes change and literally get darker is a sign that something is going on, that there's a problem. And you should definitely get as far away from them as possible in that moment. Okay. And that's just one of many red flags. And I just want you to see every single red flag, as many as possible, so that you can be looking for them, so that that narcissist can never hurt you ever again. I do want you to also join my free private Facebook group, which is Narcissist Negotiators with Rebecca Zung. So make sure you join that. Make sure that you also subscribe to this channel. And the next video that I want you to watch is self-care to cope with narcissists. Self-care to cope with narcissists. And we're going to go watch that video together. And remember that today is a great day to start negotiating your best life. And remember, they only win if you give in, and you don't need to do that because there's so much help and support right here and so many resources out there for you as well. All right, so we're going to go watch that next video together, self-care to cope with narcissists, and I will see you there.